Wonderful. This session will be mostly my documentation for myself, but maybe others can understand this as well. I will be covering self-developments I did yesterday, what I have been thinking about today, controlling my life, changing my mind, reprogramming. So yeah, yesterday I wasted 2/3 of the day, like usual, and then I suddenly stopped. I was full of consuming entertainment, and I decided to start developing myself. Start using the technique and move on. What I did was I decided to stop watching news because they don't bring much to my life, especially the YouTube that I have been watching a month. I knew it was not very productive, but still allowed it because I was concentrating on other things. But yesterday was time to end it, so I changed that. I changed my subconsciousness to not even want to watch news. Of course, today morning I went to Yle. I just needed to know because right now Victory Day parade is closing in, that I don't know if that will happen in Russia, in Moscow. Russia suggested ceasefire from 8 to 9, 9th day. That would cover only the victory parade, but Ukraine said no, that if we are going to make a ceasefire, it will have to be longer. So they suggested the night of the 6th day, which was almost 22 hours ago. And from Ukraine side, they could extend the ceasefire indefinitely. But I watched the news and Russia had already broken that. So now I just have to know on the 9th what is happening on that front, because that will be the most important day in Russia for Putin. So I'm curious if they will make some ceremony. If they don't, in both cases it will be interesting. But so yesterday I changed my mind to not want to watch news, especially YouTube, because it had become a problem, time waste. Another thing I changed was porn usage, and that wasn't anything large, just going over to myself that I don't even like, or I get nothing out of it. And then I changed, which I of course took back today. Almost immediately I changed how I saw music videos, music. That I noticed that I had. So a month ago I took those back because there were reasons, real use cases for it. It helps me daydream, which can be useful, and then it can ease my thoughts. Make thinking easier if I have some sort of stimulus going on, because just looking at nothingness raises too much consciousness, which uses energy. So I can use music videos, but I have talked about that before. So a month ago I took those back, started to use those again for thinking, but then especially lately I noticed that I was starting to watch them from habit and not from some cause, some reason, good reason. So I decided to actually, yes. So I decided to develop that as well. It was of course successful, but then I became to a point where I had just removed 3 of the most kind of only ways or only entertainment for my life and only ways to waste time. There needs to be something to replace them, and that something is nothing. Meaning, if I just keep still, I don't think anything, I don't do anything. In my case, with my minimalistic philosophy, with my understanding of this world reality, that's the only certain source of happiness. Not happiness. Something. And of course, many few understand this, but most of my life and most people, I have lived in this, what is it, rat race. Like going circles. This is the usual life, that just go with habits, then copy others, see what's there, follow, be scared to be different, and don't think about like death or deep philosophy, universe, because that will just cause anxiousness and depression. Just keep consuming entertainment, keep moving on, drink alcohol, yeah. And then people do these sprints to discover, wait, there is no real meaning, wow, and then they go back to that circus. I have done that. but I can't anymore. I cannot continue, at least what I used to do. So of course everyone's lives are different, but this is how I see it, because I notice a lot of patterns, a lot of motives and habits that are coming from the social norm, like from other people. That people are like a web. They are connected, and this happens on subconscious level. People don't even realize how much they filter out, or how much data they get and adjust themselves, their roles, like in a group situation. And they buy new clothes, they think about style, and even if they say it's personal, it's shaped by the group. There's a reason why some people, when you look at them, you just feel that you have seen or met exactly the same person who dresses the same, because the certain types of styles and personalities are duplicated, because people see, well, they copy. But yeah, this loop, this mass, it's kind of nice being there, I'm sure, because that's where most other people are. But my situation is I can't go back. I can't unlearn. And how I kind of thought about this was my body, when I removed those three, or did those three developments, my body did, and my mind didn't know what to do. It wanted to move on, because I'll keep going, stay on the move, because that's what it's used to do. That is what all people, or most people, do most of the time. They just move, keep going, maybe in their own loops, non-productive loops, or just collective loops. I felt that I need to move on, I need to do something, and I had gotten into this loop before the changes of trying to find entertainment or some pleasure the old way, which was YouTube algorithms. Even if it was like watching news, documentaries, learning, it was still entertainment. So trying to waste time as much as possible, try to find pleasure from the same things that have given it before. And this is quite common, that people realize that someday the thing they have enjoyed doing for years, maybe, they don't find any pleasure anymore. That happened to me many years ago with video games. I haven't played much since. Movies and TV series, haven't watched in years. But I think the main reason is I don't have a TV. And even though I have VR glasses, which I can use to watch anything from movie theater size and much bigger size screen, haven't. I think it's mostly just the barrier to start watching something, having that on, even if I can keep it over 10 hours a day in my head. Something about it just doesn't even want to think about watching a movie or starting a TV series. But yes, with those, it was a few years ago, but I just didn't find pleasure anymore like I used to. YouTube kind of has been there all this time. But yes, so yesterday I felt this need to keep moving. Because my mind wanted to find the next pleasure, next pleasure, next pleasure. What is it trying to find? Like, really, what is ultimately the goal? Finding the next pleasure. It tries to find it the old way, the easy way, but can't. And well, that's maybe a good question. What is the ultimate pleasure? Like long lasting love, I think many would say. In my case, never experienced it, so that's why I'm not chasing it. But yeah, so what I ended up doing was just realizing again how that zero state, doing nothing, being conscious about it, that is the ultimate enjoyment that I can always do. It never breaks. And my mind still, when thinking about it, my mind doesn't want to accept it. No, that can't be. It tries to get me the old paths to continue this rat race. But when I yesterday stayed there and when if I kind of got lost from doing nothing, then I just came back, and for the first time ever, I think, I really started to anchor myself to that state and started to realize how much there is there, even if it's doing nothing. In some sense, it's connected to my philosophy. And yeah, if I go with the old flow, try to find this mostly short-term entertainment and entertainment that most people do, then I'm detached from my philosophy. And yes, I can get into some story, get hooked and enjoy it, but when I come back, I might have this weird realization of what is this reality? Wait, what? I have to get a job, or yeah. And then it might break. I might feel a bit of depression or just confusing what is real, and that enjoyment is not constant. Whereas if I choose to do nothing, I'm conscious about everything. Meaning my philosophy, meaning being yeah, conscious about my goal in this life and my thoughts. So I don't need to lose myself into some temporary state. Because in that temporary state, even if I'm fully unaware, I have forgotten what this reality is. It's kind of like I'm looking over my shoulder, seeing if someone is chasing me. But it feels so good just being here and not having to look back, not having to kind of wait until this goes away. This is not temporary. It's constant. And in some way, it feels that I have walked to the wall, and now I'm my back against the wall. There's nothing behind me. So I can see the room. Feels safe. Feels good. And previously I haven't been able to come here because it just takes time to do all these developments and then get enough life experience. Probably did some other developments, can't remember. Anyways, also what happened yesterday was I got a message saying I will have a third interview, this time technical interview for the job in the Philippines. It will be on Friday. I might want to look into that if I can prepare. And also continue thinking about the move. It's very possible, even probable, that they can't offer enough money that someone else is able to do the same job with less. Then of course I can't accept it, but if they do offer enough, it looks like I would be moving there. So preparing for that. But today I started this stream very late again. I have been doing laundry, which for some reason took like 3 hours total. Of course, I didn't need to actively do it, but still takes kind of energy going back and forth, having 40-minute timers. And then I have been starting to think about buying smart glasses. Of course, I need something to distract myself from real things. That is interesting. I might really do it. A few €100. So it's not a huge investment, but let's see. But now I had been thinking about going to a grocery store already yesterday. I haven't gone today to buy some groceries, normal stuff. But then also I want to buy bread. I don't need it, but I crave bread too much. And I was very close to going. Well, I could still go, but I didn't. I started to think about why. Of course, nutrition, food is essential for humans. That's why it's impossible to develop that way. But why do I feel that I want to buy bread, or I'm allowed to? Of course, to avoid thinking. Yeah, sure. Eating is very good way of doing that. Many people would agree. But now, just now, well, half an hour. Okay, not too bad. Get to a point that I wanted to document. Reward system. What kind of reward system do I have? And is it necessary? Can I develop it away? That's what I want to mainly document. I was already thinking about it. I started to think about this before the stream, but then realized that I want to document this. Reward system. That I felt that I have already done enough to get a reward. The same might apply to watching music videos. It's a reward. For doing what? Why? Is that my motivator? Because I haven't been thinking about it. I'm pushed by this motivation to do good, to help humanity reach world peace. That's not my reward. It's a need. In my visions, I never thought about reward. Of course, the visions were very generic, but I never thought about, hey, I want to have this kind of schedule and life where I do work and then I can enjoy. I can eat something good or I can watch some TV. Why do I need a reward? Okay, let's think about this. And this has been around, I have realized this for years. Whenever I started to become productive, even an hour a day might mean productive in my case. I get this feeling that, hey, I deserve a reward. And even if I am able to contain myself and continue working, I get the same feeling but stronger. I need a reward. And every time I cave at some point. Why? Of course, it's a habit. It's a strong habit. It's a social habit. But I'm not doing any of this work because I want reward. And then what I mentioned before, that doing nothing is kind of, at least currently, the best feeling I can get. And in that state, I have started to constantly go back to these productive thoughts, thinking about my future, thinking about my options and projects and ideas. Of course, my brain wants to avoid that, but it feels good. Why do I need a reward? And looking at other people, do slaves get a reward? How can people do great things? Study super hard. There might be fear, okay. How important is reward? I remember watching some motivational videos. advices on how to study, how to keep the motivation on. Reward was, I think, every time there. That start to study, then when you okay, no, after the study session, what should you do first? It's not to recap what you just learned, but give yourself a reward. Remember this specific video? I haven't used a reward system myself. Well, sort of, yes. There was always a reward, but I didn't motivate myself to do the thing so that I can get the reward. Reward. Evolution. Is there a reason for it? I'm at a state where I can kind of feel my life, how my brain operates quite well. That it wants a reward, it wants to avoid thinking, doing. And then there isn't anything else. I don't have any stress. I do have something on my schedule, but nothing much. Can I remove those? And going back to that idea of rat race or some sort of loop, that's not fixed into the philosophy. That it kind of floats, doesn't have a foothold or anchor. No, I lost my thought. Yeah, so on that state, I would always get new ideas, new directions and reasons to change myself or not commit to anything specifically. That's the beauty of it. You just keep moving. Don't do anything. Don't stop. But then this state of immediately when becoming conscious or having any sort of or confusion, hesitation, what to do, just do nothing, and then I would get to this fixed state, and it's at a state that I left it. I just wanted to mention the uncertainty of the loop compared to this, that this is really anchored now. it's on hard ground. And the way I see it is this is the only way where I can actually see my target and make progress without doing these loops, going with the flow. That doesn't work, in my case at least. So very slowly move forward. That's my style. Now I'm looking at this avoidance reward system. There's nothing after death, so no reward there. I know many people suffer just because they believe they get reward after death. Well, I hope I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, it's a good thing. I don't need that hope to live happily. I'm sure I must seem so happy. I might have lost my thought about reward system. Already with the developments getting rid of entertainment, getting further and further away from my past self, I can't believe this life I'm living. If I take a look back, oh, yes, I moved so much. So even this state I can't believe. But now thinking about trying to even vision life without something like a reward system or being constantly avoiding everything, I can't imagine it. Reward system. Rye bread. Why do I want that? The habit part of this is strong. I'm curious to realize if there's any good arguments. I'm quite excited about this development right now because the reward system it's different. it's different than most other developments I have done. I have done, pretty sure, I've done kind of similar level development realizations, but not that many. I can think what, well, maybe removing entertainment. But yeah, in that case, I just removed a certain type of entertainment. That was the problem. But now, with this, I think entertainment will go under these topics, like avoidance and reward system. Expecting a reward. Why? My subconscious just wants to say, what else would I do this for? But it can't because I have never used that system. Why haven't I developed this sooner? Okay, I have thought about this a little bit, at least in the past, in a way of when I see and feel my future, I feel this part of me that waits for the next break, next entertainment session, next reward. That's yeah, that's what it feels like. Especially when I have tried to start these scheduling sessions or scheduling habit, being productive. Just the feeling of it was too much to handle. That what was the point? Then I noticed that I naturally thought about the break. Suddenly sleep felt great. Though even that I kind of managed to break. Sleep is not comfortable. Maybe. Sleeping on the floor kind of ruined sleep for myself. No, I can't enjoy even that. What if I don't avoid? This doesn't feel real. I don't see any arguments. And I do realize very well that my current state, I'm fully relaxed. I don't have any anxiety around this. And now I have very strong foundation. I have state where I can always go, which is super easy, just do nothing. I didn't have that before. I tried to think about this while on the loop. Of course, it wasn't stable. Now, this feels like some people have been arrested. Let's say all the developments, entertainment that I have chose to not do anymore. And this reward system was a person who laughed at them. Haha, you got arrested. You did something bad. Never expected that it will be arrested. No, wait, this can't happen. It feels like that. And of course, this is all happening in my brain. So I feel that. Part of me feels that. It's also, well, I don't know, funny, but good to point out that I'm getting used to being very confused about my life's experience and future, my mind, that how is it possible to even think a certain way. Of course, I'm used to feeling depressed, so I know it can happen. So something new this session that doesn't feel like it's a new experience, even though this is really a new experience. It still goes to the same category as some of those before. Like, for 1 second, my mind went somewhere else, and then had a thought, hey, this has been a good session. What will be my reward afterwards? That wouldn't happen. The state that I'm currently at, I can't say that this is normal self-development, or I'm not using my technique. But also, I want to point that out, that when I use my technique, I might use the steps still that I would advise someone to take, because I'm so used to it. I can skip steps, or yeah, I can almost kind of force myself, force my mind to change. It's super easy. But right now, I'm at a state where I have never been here. I don't know what to expect. So it's not about changing, but creating. First, I need to create the vision, or I don't know what will happen. How to describe this is, I see a road, and the only thing that is there is the reward system, the avoidance, which both means entertainment, nothing else. But I try to remove them, but I can't envision what the road would look like without anything in it, on it. There has always been something there, because this reward system I have never removed. So it means that at least that has been there. But now, of course, I can. What is the logical conclusion? That I will just fill this vision, my future, with work, productive work. But I have to go through this. Let my mind try to find arguments against. I get from time to time these feelings that this can't happen. What am I even doing? Especially because I'm getting tired. But then I just default back to very quickly to this zero state. And it is super weird having this available, easy, something that brings me back, this reality. What am I doing? And it makes sense, feels good, and yeah, super easy. Because previously maybe I was on that loop, so whenever I came back, I had to build the realization again. But now I start to think, I haven't. When was the last time I thought about my sanity level? I think this is a good time to think about that. Remember, not lose sanity. No, but my mind is too much connected to reality. If I had continued or started to build my philosophy a year ago, then things might be different. But because I didn't, I turned towards everyone else. Makes sense. Oh, it's super weird. Okay. Reward system. This change will be like huge. I can't even believe it myself. The scale of change this would make. If it worked, I can't know for sure. But I just want to say that I had thought a few times already during the stream that my developments to someone outside might seem like I don't do much. And this is very common topic for me for the past few years, kind of more, that I do question whether I actually do real change or not. Because I have been wasting a lot of time doing something that didn't work in the end. And sometimes I have thought about if I move in a loop, that I sort of discover some things over and over again. And then there is this idea that at some point I would come to do a change that will change everything, starts the rolling of the ball. So now I started to think, what is after this? Like if I remove need for reward or avoidance, I can only see, and I have like my back is against the wall. It's the only work ahead of me. That has been my vision. Like, will there be any other difficulties? But looking back a few months, so much has happened. I can't remember January. I can't really remember before April, so a month ago. That was so long ago. I have lost time. So long ago. I don't remember what I was like then back then. And even if I don't seem productive nowadays, I'm very, very productive. I have done a lot of things already, and this is just accelerating. It is not stopping. My life is easier than ever, and I'm doing more than ever. That's a good direction. But this reward system seems very simple. I can't think of any good arguments why I should or I need to keep it in my brain. Like how my brain operates, the engine, default states, the loops. Like there needs to be some sort of loop to keep things going in my brain. But that loop has contained this reward. If I take that away, do that kind of reprogramming, very interesting. I can't see ahead, but I wanted to document this and some of earlier thoughts, happenings. That was the point. I don't see any point continuing right now because I just need to handle these emotions, these ideas. My brain is not going to just suddenly change. I have enough pure motivation that I could become productive, but because I'm me, I will try to make permanent change. There is no rush. The reason why I'm doing this today even is because, so a few months ago I wouldn't have. I made many changes yesterday. A year ago, just one of those changes would have been enough to make me pause for 3 days. But yesterday I made many, and today I had nothing else to do than continue this, start doing more. I'm at this level, this stage where nothing breaks it anymore. So I will move forward, and of course I'm just enjoying this life. It's not that serious. I don't have any timetable. I don't have any timeline. About this. I will probably put some music videos on. Those are good for thinking. Though it's no, it's not very much yet. Yeah, very interesting. And I will document what happens. Yeah, my brain can't handle this one. It can handle it, well, it can't understand it. The scale, the change, it's just too odd. This change would change my life completely. It's becoming simpler and simpler. I must say I do feel quite excited to tackle this. What was the shortcut? 386. Nice.